This is Arnie Pickholz with the world as it is. Having never been associated with bad people, although I've seen some weirdos in my life, I was surprised at who showed up on the 101 Bastards list, presented by Brian Thornton in his book, 101 Worst Scoundrels and Scandals in the World of Politics and Power. Let's take a look at the ones who caught my eye. I'm visiting Mount Vernon, and it seems there was more going on here than growing tobacco, hemp, and wheat. Substantiated rumor has it that young George Washington had an eye for the ladies. He wrote, "Love is said to be an involuntary passion, and it is therefore contended that it cannot be resisted." He may have gone overboard with Sally Fairfax, who was married to his friend George William Fairfax, but all was saved when he met Martha, and they settled happily ever after in Mount Vernon. Let's go north to West Point. Before the military academy existed, General Benedict Arnold worked for the Americans and beat the British in an important battle of Saratoga in 1777. He was certainly favored by the Continental Congress and was given command of the fort here at West Point. It's too bad that he wasn't satisfied with his opportunities here in America. He plotted to surrender the fort to the British and took off for a British command. In today's terms, this would be called very bad sportsmanship. Let's move forward into the 19th century. Here we are in Washington, home of scandal and intrigue. In 1831, during Andrew Jackson's term, Robert Potter, congressman from North Carolina, resigned from Congress after castrating two men he believed were having an affair with his wife. Later, in North Carolina, he was expelled from its legislature for cheating at cards or for pulling a gun and a knife during a card game. In 1856, during the Buchanan administration, Preston Brooks, congressman from South Carolina, burst on the floor of the U.S. Senate and beat Senator Charles Sumner with a cane until he was bleeding and unconscious, while two others held the Senate off at gunpoint. And now on to the 1950s. You'll remember Richard Nixon from Watergate fame, but his nefarious deeds started in the 1950s when he was Eisenhower's vice presidential nominee. He delivered the famous Checkers speech to deflect a scandal about $18,000 in gifts he allegedly received, maintaining that the only personal gift he had received was his dog, Checkers. In the Lyndon Johnson presidency in the 60s, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was expelled from Congress but won a special election as his own replacement. In 1973, Nixon, now President of the United States, appears again with his Vice President Spiro T. Agnew, who was convicted of tax fraud stemming from bribery charges in Maryland and forced to resign. Nixon replaced him with Gerald R. Ford, and then went on to more dubious fame when he resigned for trying to cover up a break-in to Democratic National Headquarters here in Washington. Of all the scandal-filled presidential administrations the U.S. has suffered through, George W. Bush is listed with the greatest cast of scoundrels. I counted 58. To be even-handed, I counted 30 for Bill Clinton, and President Obama has 6 so far. One was Samuel B. Kent, the federal district judge of Galveston, Texas, who was sentenced to 33 months in prison for lying about sexually harassing 2 female employees. He had been appointed to office by George H.W. Bush in 1990. Does it count against Obama? Well, you decide for yourself. This is Arnie Pickholz on the steps of the White House.